Hey everybody, my name is Fred, and you're listening to the Arbitrary Productions podcast. If you're a first-time listener, thank you for listening. If you're somebody who's listened to us before, thank you for listening again. Today I have a very special guest for you guys. He's our very first guest on the podcast besides Enzo. Enzo doesn't really count because we kind of did it together, but this is our first official guest. His name is Sam. Sam, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Hey everybody, I'm Sam. I'm a senior at UNC Charlotte. Hopefully going to be graduating in May once I pass all these classes.
Yeah. So, I met Sam through his girlfriend, who was one of my first good friends in college. And Sam now is, like you mentioned, he's a student at college. Also, what's really cool, and we're going to talk about it, is that he is on the drum line for the Carolina Panthers.
Yes.
The football team here in Charlotte, North Carolina. So that's really, really cool. So yeah, Sam, is that something like you thought you'd ever do?
Well, first of all, it just kind of goes off with like a cheesy story. My first Panthers game was Panthers versus Cowboys back in 2012, I want to say. And I went with my mom, and in between the timeouts, the percussion played like on the big jumbotron there in the corner. And me starting out on drums around that time, I was like, man, one day I really want to do that. And as the years went on, I just kind of it was always in the back of my head, but I never really thought about it. And by last year, I realized that by March, I'll be turning 21. And that's when the audition process starts. And I had to be 21 to be eligible for auditioning and applying for this job, basically. So I went out, and after it was about a week and a half, 2 weeks worth of an audition process with playing with people and having interviews, going out into the community and playing in front of the public. It was really an awesome experience. I would highly recommend it to any of my drumming friends because at UNC Charlotte, it is 1 credit hour and you have a lot of fun. But here, you get to go to good football games. They treat you real good there. It's technically a job, so you do get paid for it monthly. I highly recommend it to anybody, honestly.
So I bet this is a really cool experience. If you look back to where you started drumming, it's probably middle school, elementary school,
I usually in the county back home, they don't let you play drums your 6th grade year, and so I didn't do band, but my mom was a music teacher, so that was always in the back of my head. And after my 6th grade year, I was like, I want to play drums. And so I just took lessons from a local music shop back home and then just jumped straight into it. Middle school, high school, just kind of learned on the fly, YouTube videos, matching people. And then I learned how to read and transcribe music. And so
I know we wanted to talk about sports today, but I kind of wanted to ask you some questions. I know I didn't tell you right ahead, but I want you to have a more genuine thoughts and response to. I want to just about drumming now, where you are drumming wise. So obviously, like you said, you started the 7th grade, and over the years, how has that kind of the experience has changed for you?
So, how do you mean by experience?
So, how would you compare, your middle school or your high school with college and now to doing something kind of on a professional level?
Yes.
How would you describe, say, the difficulty, the type of people now that you work with? Obviously, it's changed, right?
Yeah. So, middle school, 7th and 8th grade, my band teacher at that time was primarily a saxophone player. So, there wasn't a whole lot of... She did teach me a few basic things, but there wasn't a whole lot of inside advanced knowledge that I got in middle school. I kind of learned the basics and just learned everything else on the fly. And once I hit high school, my high school director, Mr. McCoy, he was a heavy percussion dude, played everything. And he kind of threw me into the fire and said, you're going to play snare drum your freshman year. And I barely knew how to play a roll or a double tap roll. And so I would spend countless hours back home at night. I would just do my homework and then I would just be on a pillow and just practice that way. And through high school, I learned how to played the snare drum fairly well, I will say for myself. And then on top of that, Mr. McCoy made me learn how to play bass drum, how to play tenor drum, learn some stuff in pit, learned how to play cymbals, because he knew that when I got to college at UNC Charlotte, the snare spot wasn't guaranteed for me. I would have to work for it.
Or competition.
There's definitely competition, and I always tell younger drummers, like, if you want something, you go and like work for it, but don't be afraid to be a part of the team. Because when I came to Charlotte, I really wanted to play snare drum, and when I didn't, and they bumped me down to cymbals, I was a little heartbroken for first couple days. But once I learned, I actually had a really good experience. I made some good friends in that line, and that's kind of how you learn. Because on the side, you still learn your craft, and
you gotta learn how to be humble, I guess.
You just learn on the side. Just do your stuff, and then you learn on the side. And by that time, I played snare drum my junior year. And by that time, when I hit 21, I was like, oh, I can go audition for Panthers now. And so that was also a great experience. Practiced like twice a week at night, and they just kind of like they'll throw music at you in one day and be like, have this ready for Sunday. And it's
very professional in that sense. They put you, they don't baby you. You know, they kind of expect you like, okay, you made it this far, we expect you to be this good now and be able to pick up and go along, right?
Well, yeah, it's just because since you're registered, you have to be 21 to audition. I was actually the baby because I was 21 on the line. Everyone else was like 30s, 40s. They were married, had kids. I still felt like a child. But it's still a lot of good hard work. They'll throw music at you, like I said, like a couple days before, and we've gotten it done. I mean, we did really well. They threw music at us. We learned it, got parts down, and I think it went together really well this year.
That's cool.
We actually got really famous. I think it was the last home game we played the Saints, and during our performance in the end zone, we had one of our tenor players get flipped upside down.
What?
And he played tenor drums while he was upside down. It was great. We practiced it. I practiced it, and I had to hold him, and it was very stressful holding another human being
while playing
upside down.
Oh my god!
The end product came out really good. I was very happy about it.
That's cool. That's really, really cool. So thank you for telling us about that. I know I kind of threw you on a curveball there.
No, you're good.
I didn't tell you ahead of time, but I really wanted to ask you about that experience because I think it's just really cool. Not a lot of people can say that they get to play music in general and then to play for a local team for a state that's big in football and basketball. So I think that's a really cool opportunity you got going on there. So now we're gonna talk about what you came here to talk about.
All right.
Sports news, what's been happening in the sports world. You know, Super Bowl happened.
Oh yeah.
You know, not too long ago from the time of this recording.
About a week prior.
Yeah.
Close to it.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, over 2 weeks ago, right?
I think it was only a week.
Yeah, it was over a week ago. It
feels
feels like
1 week plus 1 day, I think.
Yeah, it feels like over a week ago, but because this recent weekend.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so it feels like a long time ago. But yeah, so let's get into the biggest thing that's happened in 2020 so far when it comes to sport, and that's rest in peace, Mr. Bryant, Kobe Bryant.
Yep.
Gone too soon. So. You know, what are your thoughts on what happened? You know, do you remember where you were, what you were doing?
So actually, I was in an end of year interview with Percussion. We were just talking about what they wanted to improve on next year and how they wanted to like bring people in. And one of our drum instructors, Patrick, looked at his phone when we were just throwing ideas at each other. He just said, Kobe Bryant died in a helicopter accident. And we're all just like, get out of here. No, you're kidding. Like that can't happen. And sure enough, I mean, I looked at my phone and it was right there. And I was never a Lakers fan. I was never a diehard Kobe fan like some of my friends are. And I know that he will definitely be missed. What I always loved about watching Kobe, because I kind of like grew up watching Kobe and LeBron. And
they're icons.
Oh, they're huge icons. And just when you watch one just all of a sudden be gone like that.
Yeah.
It's very like
It's
surreal.
Yeah, especially somebody like so young still. He just recently retired.
He retired in 2016, if I recall correctly. Actually, like 1 or 2 years ago, he won an Oscar for best short animated film.
He and LeBron, I just started moving into the motion picture space, and because they love movies and entertainment, so it was really cool to kind of see them expanding like their network and just their projects going that way, and then. It's just so sad to see what happened with Kobe, because like you, I didn't believe it at first. I got a message from a group chat saying like, "Oh, rest in peace, Kobe." At first, I thought it was some kind of new meme or something, and then eventually I looked it up, and just like you, I was like, "Oh my God!" Like I can't believe this is happening. So, I rest in peace.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I was never a diehard Kobe fan, nor was I a big Lakers fan. I watched them every now and then when I was little. But one of the things that I think more after his passing than before, something that really kind of sticks with me is that Mamba mentality that he made. And basically it's just working, like if you're the best player, you work like you're the worst player. Like you always strive to improve and be better than what you are. Like, go above and beyond. And I think it speaks for Kobe because he won like 5.
Yeah, he never got comfortable.
He had 4 or 5 championship rings. His final game, he busted out 61 points like it was nothing. And I think that just speaks to his work ethic. And I think that's something that I personally, and I know a few others, try to strive to do, because it doesn't apply to just basketball. It can apply to schoolwork, or in my case, music or editing podcasts, getting it can apply to anything. Like work like you're the least athletic or least person in the room.
Yeah, especially if it's something you love. Like, don't put like half the effort, because it's something you love. You wanna give love to what you're doing. It's your time. You don't want to waste it either. So yeah, that's rest in peace again. But unfortunately, it is what it is. It's a terrible way to start 2020.
No.
So speaking of 2020,
2020
Super Bowl.
Oh, that was a game, man.
How'd you feel about that Super Bowl? Who were you rooting for?
So I was at a friend's house. I was at my friend Logan's house, and we were hanging out together with a few other friends.
Is that a shout out?
Shout out Logan, I guess. I was rooting for the Niners just because of NFC loyalty. Since the Panthers are in the NFC, I'm like, well, I have to root for the NFC team, I guess. Even though I wasn't a huge, Niners fan, because a part of me doesn't like Garoppolo because he used to be a Patriot, so that's just something, like if you're not a Patriots fan, you just have to hate the Patriots. That's just NFL law.
Yeah. Especially since they were in the Super Bowl this year.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, but it didn't really matter to me too much because I knew on the other side was Patrick Mahomes, and he's basically a man among boys on that field, and Andy Reid finally won a Super Bowl. Spoiler alert if you haven't watched the Super Bowl. He won one after 21 years of coaching, and I think that's finally kudos to him. He can coach for a few more years, and he can retire with a Super Bowl ring, and I think that's really nice for him. I will say that Kyle Shanahan, who is the head coach of the Niners, will probably get, I think he already has, he will still be getting a lot of flack for this because he had 13-point lead ahead of the Chiefs in the first quarter, and Mahomes came and just blew that out of the water and won the Super Bowl. And you wouldn't think too much about it, but this is the same guy who is the offensive coordinator for the Falcons when they blew a 28-3 lead against the Patriots. So not a good start as a head coach for your resume, but I think he can bounce back. It just takes time. Yeah, that's all it is.
Yeah, no, that game's ending, I thought for sure that the 49ers were going to win that thing.
That's what we all thought.
Because, well, even if you didn't know anything about football and you were just watching it based on what was going on at the time, right? And then when Kansas City started catching
Everything.
everything. And you just turn around if you're not paying attention, and you're like suddenly paying attention because you're like, what is going on? Yeah. I thought it was going one way, and now it's going the other way. And then they did it again.
I know. And like,
they did it again.
Because after Mahomes threw that interception and Niners got the ball back, I was like, all right, I'm going to go to the bathroom because this looks like a game anyway. Mm-hmm. And so I went to the bathroom and I got back in, and the Chiefs were like trying to pull a win out. And I was like, what happened? What did I miss?
I think the 49ers got too comfortable because they probably thought, oh, we got in the bag. Game's almost over. Is it? But
that in a way that just goes back to the Mamba mentality. Like,
exactly.
Do not ever give up.
Yeah, like, don't get too comfortable.
Even if you're winning, like, keep going.
Don't get too comfortable. You don't know what's gonna happen, and they turned it around twice on them.
It was a very good game.
Oh Lord,
I enjoyed all of it.
Yeah, I was trying to root for the 49ers because, I mean, our college is the
49ers. That is another reason why many people probably root for the 49ers.
It's their own 49ers, but I was rooting for them regardless because they have the same name. But
that is true. Yes.
So, unfortunately, it is what it is.
It is what it is. Congrats to the Chiefs on their Super Bowl win. I mean,
when was the last time either one of these teams were in the Super Bowl?
So the Niners, last time they were in the Super Bowl was whenever. I'm not going to get my dates right.
Was it before either one of us were born?
Oh, yeah, definitely. So, well, no, last time Niners went to the Super Bowl was 2013, 2014, whenever they played the Ravens, because that was when...
Oh, I think I remember that.
That was when Jim Harbaugh and John Harbaugh were both head coaches at the teams, and they played each other in the Super Bowl. That was also a very good game. Okay. That was when the lights went out in the stadium, and no one knew what was going on for like half an hour. I think I remember that now, yeah. That was the last time the Niners went to a Super Bowl, but the last time the Chiefs went to the Super Bowl was like Super Bowl 3 or 4, which was like in the 60s or 70s. And this is the first win like ever for them.
So this is their second. Oh no, this is their first win.
This is their first Super Bowl win for the Chiefs in like 50 years.
Oh jeez.
In 100 years of 100 seasons of football.
Oh Lord.
The drought is over.
Well, they did it. I hope they can keep that streak going. At least make it to the playoffs continuously, or at least I don't know, the Super Bowl or something. Even
I think we'll see them a lot more since they have Patrick Mahomes. Once they start building a little bit more around that team, like,
you think he's gonna stay for next season?
Oh yeah, definitely.
I pay him.
I don't see a reason why Mahomes would leave. I mean, he just won a Super Bowl with them. He can probably win a couple more.
Yeah, if they give him money, give him recognition, he'd be set.
Well, I think he already has. I mean, he was the cover of the Madden video game this year, and it's all. The Madden curse has been very real for 95% of people who have been on it. Because if you just look at last year, Antonio Brown was the Madden cover, and his career has hit the fan and gone sideways, to say it nicely. I hope he gets help. But Mahomes broke the curse this year, and that's awesome, honestly.
Yeah. So, yeah. Speaking of Super Bowl, did any ads stand out to you at all this year? Usually Super Bowl ads, are just as much talked about the next day as the game is.
So there are a couple.
Yeah, which ads stood out to you the most? At least one or two ads.
There's a couple. So probably the Mountain Dew one, I believe, when Bryan Cranston played Jack Nicholson.
The Shining.
Yes, that was a good one.
That was pretty good.
I wasn't really cool with the dialogue, but the fact that whole thing was happening, I was like, oh man, that's awesome.
It's pretty cool. Yeah, it's pretty cool to see that.
There were a couple that I was a little confused by. Well, one I was confused by, one I was not too happy with. The baby peanut commercial.
Actually, that one was mine. That one was mine. Just because, Mr. Peanut died. Yeah. And obviously it was a setup for the Super Bowl ad. Mm-hmm. And when Baby Nut, I guess, it came out, I was like, this thing is adorable. And literally as soon as I went on Twitter after that, it was Baby Yoda versus Baby Nut. Most people were for Baby Yoda still, but there was a lot of Baby Nut fans, and one of them was me, just because it's so adorable.
I mean, he is cute, I'm not gonna lie, but I'm more Baby Yoda than Baby Peanut, I guess.
Honestly, I'm not a fan of Baby Nut as a name.
I can't. I saw that was like, I guess his legitimate name. I'm like, I can't say that.
You should have called him Baby Peanut. I think Baby Peanut just sounds better. It just rolls off the tongue better.
Well, also it's just, I mean, I just like Baby Yoda more because I'm a Star Wars fan, and so that's just there. And also on top of it, it just felt like watching the Baby Peanut commercial. I was like, they just pulled a Groot from Guardians of the Galaxy, and no one.
I think babies are kind of the trend right now. So, you know, Baby Yoda, Baby Peanut. I don't know if you saw Baby Sonic was also a thing.
I did see that, yes.
Because, you know, apparently it's the new thing now, and people are eating it up. It's cute. It sells merchandise. Of course, why wouldn't you make your own baby version?
Oh, yeah.
You know? And I don't know if you noticed this too at the Super Bowl. There was a lot of companies that was doing cross marketing on their commercials. So if you watch the Peanuts ad, it has Mr. Clean and Kool-Aid Man in it.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if you noticed that.
It was
Kool-Aid Man's tears that brought Baby Peanut to life, actually.
Oh, you're right. You're right. I remember now. I'll have to go back and like look at all of them. I remember Mr. Clean was there.
And then there was another commercial where they had like 4 or 5 different brands, like their mascots on screen. I wonder if they did that to, you know, obviously crossovers are like really popular now.
MCU,
but
DC.
Yeah, but I wonder if they also did that because Super Bowl ads are getting more and more expensive, and they did that to kind of like, okay, let's just put all our brands into one commercial.
You think the mascots were the people who like pitched in money for this commercial?
Well, yeah, or I won't be surprised if they're also like owned by the same parent company either, and it was like, you know, instead of buying multiple ads, let's just throw them into one.
That's probably.
I mean, it's like what, $6 million for 30 seconds. That's kind of
something like that.
It's ridiculous.
You have to have like NFL money for that, which is a good little segue into the commercial the number one commercial that I did not like, which was the Tom Brady commercial.
Can you remind me which one was that one?
So, little backstory. About a few days or a week before the Super Bowl happened, Tom Brady put a black and white filter photo of him at Gillette Stadium, and it looked very ominous and very weird. And everyone was like, "Oh, is this it? Is he gonna leave New England?"
Yeah.
And so that same format comes out on this commercial, and Tom Brady basically around the line says, "Like, oh, I think the people deserve to know what I have to say." And me, being a dumb boy, thought that, oh, this is it. He's going to announce...
serious commercial.
I was like, he's either going to announce his retirement or he's announcing that he's moving to a different team through a Super Bowl commercial. And instead, he says, Hulu has live sports. And
that was it.
I figuratively flipped the table that I was in front of. I just stormed off into the next room, and I was just like, I'm tired of Tom Brady. I don't like that he does this.
You were like, that was the whole commercial.
Yo, yeah.
Yeah, that was it.
I was like, that's it? You got everyone so hyped up to see what would happen, then you said Hulu has live sports.
I mean, I guess if people are talking about it, then the commercial worked.
It did work.
Even if it's bad.
I mean, ESPN, Get Up and First Take talked about it for I think the day after the Super Bowl, they were talking about it and how ominous it was and what it means. I'm like, all right, it worked. People are talking about it, so I guess that's what you need.
Hulu and Disney got their money's worth.
They did. They really did.
I was hoping we would get more movie trailers. We didn't get that many. That was kind of new this year.
So there was... All I remember is there was an extra TV spot for Black Widow, but at this point there's been 3 trailers and we kind of already know what it's going to be about.
Yeah, there's really no need to show more. We got probably a 15-second. I think did we get a Wonder Woman? Oh, but it was mixed with the Tide commercial. That was weird.
Yeah, so it was that string of Tide, I guess, commercial that was in between.
He would cut off other commercials. And I guess that's another cross-promotional thing that we're talking about.
Because he was in...
It was Charlie Day, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Because it was a Bud Light commercial, which turned into a Tide commercial, which went to a Wonder Woman trailer, then back to a Tide commercial. And so honestly, it was very difficult to follow, but I figured it out.
The Tide cinematic universe made its way on the Super Bowl commercials.
They will get there.
So besides that, there wasn't really anything... No, I thought they were going to show Eternals. That new Marvel movie.
I thought they were just gonna. Well, they did drop the Disney Plus TV show spot.
That's true.
So
that was cool.
So they did like what 30, 45 seconds worth of the WandaVision, Loki, Captain America, or Winter Soldier, and Falcon.
Yeah. So that was really cool.
Yeah.
And Disney pushed, but that's a whole another. Just not related to this.
That's a whole different part. That's a whole different subject that we can talk about later.
Yeah. So So now let's get back to like the sports in Charlotte out of Super Bowl for a little bit. The big thing that kind of came news wise at the end of 2019 was that the mayor of Charlotte announced that we're gonna have a soccer team here.
Awesome.
The Charlotte MLS. There's no name yet. What'd you think what'd you think of it when they announced it?
Well, I mean, we do have some. I mean, I'm gonna be honest. Just full disclosure, I don't know. I know how to play soccer, but I don't know a whole much about the organization and how it's run and how like the minor league and major leagues are compared. But I do know that there are 2 soccer teams already in the Charlotte area.
Okay.
And they're fairly popular, but not a whole lot of people talk about them because they're not like the big league, the big dog sports. But when I heard David Tepper got the money for a new Major League Soccer team, I was like, okay, well, this is a different direction than I thought.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm okay with it. I mean, I just want to know what the name is so I can start like buying gear, I guess, and get into soccer. But I mean, I'm kind of impartial to it. Like, I don't watch soccer a whole lot, but also at the same time, I'm happy we're getting another sports franchise because honestly, I was kind of wanting a baseball team because I love the Charlotte Knights. But wow, wouldn't it be cool to have like a Major League Baseball team then?
Yeah, that was the other question I was gonna ask you actually. But before I ask you about baseball, so with the soccer thing, I mean, it probably means the football team has to move, right? It seems like they're gonna prioritize the soccer team for a little bit, just because they need to build that fan base. Soccer is a big international sport, but in America, it's still like a growing kind of trend right now. So, being said, they're probably gonna put that team in the Bank of America Stadium. Then the Panthers probably gonna have to move somewhere where it's more. Probably near the border.
South Carolina, probably.
Because it's technically the Carolina Panthers, not the North Carolina Panthers, right? So, what do you think about like the Panthers Stadium moving somewhere further south? That's like a good 30, 40 minutes extra drive.
Well, this is just me speaking from convenience. I don't want it to happen, but I know it's going to, so I can't really do anything about it.
Do you want to share that with the South Carolina? Our team.
Well, I do because I have ties to South Carolina.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. It's just been in Charlotte for so long, and it's just kind of like a staple. But before the stadium was made, the Panthers used to play at Clemson. Okay. So there are obviously already ties in South Carolina, and this past year, Tepper has built more Panthers buildings in. I feel really dumb for forgetting it. It's either Fort Mill or the other area. I want to say it's Fort Mill.
Fort Mill.
Either there or one of the other border towns closer in South Carolina. He's already built that, and he has talked about. I say he wants to make a retractable roof for the soccer team, which means making a retractable roof under Bank of America Stadium, and I think that's a good idea because because obviously the NFL and this new soccer team will have to share the stadium for a while, and that means we might get to see some indoor football games, which would be pretty cool. I mean, if they go and build it, I mean, I think that'd be good for. You'll get more South Carolina people involved, even though I know that there's a lot of big fans down there.
Yeah. I know up front, when this news came out, there was some backlash. I don't know if you heard about that.
Maybe.
Because of there was some, for the longest time, Charlotte did want a soccer team, right? But there was some kind of, laws or rules as to how the money will be provided, because obviously Tepper could afford to just buy a soccer team if he wanted to.
Yeah, he's like the richest owner in the NFL. So.
But he also needed some kind of permission from the city. But from my understanding, the city was not allowed to break its own rules in regards to bringing new teams in. Mm-hmm. And to break that, the only real way for them to break that rule was to kind of involve taxpayer money into, I know it's a little controversial, a little political topic, but, I just wanted to bring that up in case, some of our listeners weren't aware of that. There was some backlash because basically the city officials approved Tepper without really consulting with taxpayers. And so, the up front it looks really bad. I mean, and also because Charlotte wants its city to look sexy by having all these big teams, fancy venues. But also we gotta look at the long term here. What it's gonna do for the city as a culture, for the city financially when it comes to tourism. So I'm kind of split on this, just because over the upfront thing. They should have at least been more honest, more upfront, instead of blaming the media, like everybody else does, apparently, whether it's good or bad.
Yeah, well.
They seem to point fingers at another person. But on the other hand, it is good for the Charlotte culture, because whenever I meet somebody and ask them, like, what are your thoughts on what Charlotte is, or how would you describe Charlotte culture? I'm usually met with Charlotte doesn't have a culture. And I don't really like that response, because I feel like there is a culture. It's just not as established.
Yes.
I feel like that's a better way of putting it rather than saying there is no culture. So I think
I do agree. First of all, I will say I guess in my opinion, Tepper and I guess the lawmakers, it was a little weary to do that, I will say. I think they're looking more at the long run, and so Charlotte is a very diverse community.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah.
So that means there will probably be a lot of people who are more interested in soccer than, say, basketball or football or baseball or whatever. So I think this is good, because in the long run, when people invest in this team, and, maybe it'll turn out really great. Maybe it will be one of the best teams in the Major League Soccer League.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that they're banking on.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of their things. And to your culture comment, I do believe that there's a form of culture here, but it's just not as big as,
it's not established to say like New York or Chicago, because I feel like there is history. It's just not, I feel like it's just not well known.
Yeah, so I can speak to that as a
you're a history major.
As a history major, in classes and conversations that I've had about the history of North Carolina, most of it points to the Raleigh, Winston-Salem, Greensboro area, or back on the coast in Wilmington, or in the Outer Banks. There is plenty of history here in Charlotte. There's a lot. People just got to look for it, and when you look for it, that helps kind of establish. I mean, the Charlotte Hornets are called the Hornets because Charlotte is a hornet's nest, because back in the Revolution, this place was like a hornet's nest. There was a lot of patriots, a lot of loyalists. I mean, people clashed every other day. So that is a part of the culture here.
And I'd say even in the 90s, when the basketball team was really big, the Hornets, that's part of culture right there. You know?
I mean,
and NASCAR, I know not a lot of people may not like NASCAR, even if you live in the South, but you can't not admit that NASCAR is not a big part of the culture,
especially in this area, because in Charlotte we live probably guesstimating 20 to 30 minutes away from the home of Dale and Dale Jr., two of the more famous NASCAR drivers in both our lifetime and our parents' lifetime. Yeah. Because I know my dad was a big Dale Sr. fan. I loved Dale Jr. growing up because I watched every now and then. Especially loved Richard Petty, who was more of my little past my dad's generation, but kind of in that in-between area.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of sports culture here. You just gotta look for it.
Speaking of more sports culture, let's now talk about what the topic you touched on earlier. Because I wanted to ask you about your thoughts on since we're bringing a soccer team in, we have a minor league baseball team and a minor league hockey team. What are your thoughts about like moving in a major league baseball and or hockey team in?
I would love for it to happen, but just like the Major League Soccer thing, it's all about location. Where are we going to put the stadium? How are we going to pay for it? That's just something that honestly would take years. Even if the idea was made now, it'd still take a long time for it to develop.
Because North Carolina is not really known as a baseball state.
No.
We're a basketball and football state.
Oh, yeah.
And I feel like soccer is slowly becoming more and more popular. And, nothing against baseball, but I feel like baseball isn't really as popular as it used to be.
And I can agree with that as someone who played baseball for the younger half of my life. I mean, that was something that I always grew up loving, but a lot of people around me were more interested in basketball or football. And that's just a preference thing. And I love the Charlotte Knights. I haven't been to any of the hockey games lately, but I have a lot of friends from percussion who are big diehard Checkers fans, and they love going to games, and I hear good things about them from talking to them. And honestly, I think because of that, I think a lot of people in this community are content right now with the minor league baseball and hockey teams, but we won't say no to a major league team.
I mean, with the Checkers, they won last year's minor league championship. I don't know if you knew that.
Oh, yeah.
So I feel like that could be a good leverage to kind of convince whoever's the decision makers, to be like, hey, if a minor league is this good, imagine what we could do with a major league. Maybe we could even turn the minor league into a major league. Is that a thing? Like, could minor leagues even like get bumped up?
Well, the minor league players can get bumped up because
not the team itself.
Yeah, so the Charlotte Knights are an extension of the Chicago White Sox. So if you, I don't know how it particularly works.
It's like you graduate over to that.
Yeah, well, some people it's back and forth because there are a lot of people who will go back and forth just because, like, if you get injured, you play in the minor leagues for a little bit till you're recovered, and then you can go play in the big leagues.
Okay.
It's kind of like a back and forth process sometimes, but a lot of people in the minor league will get called up to play with the big dogs, and it does happen a lot. I don't know how many times it's happened over the past year with the Knights, but I'd have to look at that.
All right. So, I just wanted to ask your thoughts and opinions on that because, you did mention baseball. We have the Knights, they're popular. The Checkers, they won the championship, but nobody really talks about hockey down here.
No.
But so
we're a warm state.
Yeah. So like we said before, UNCC, it's a big, like, UNC Charlotte. If you guys aren't familiar, they're a big soccer and basketball school. So I think that has a really good kind of projection as to where the city's heading based on kind of the types of athletes and sport that we're producing at a collegiate level. So like what I'm trying to say is like if we're producing high quality soccer players, imagine them transitioning into a major league team or even like our basketball players. Can't really say much about the football team. We get Panthers players from everywhere else.
Well, that's I think that can be applied. Well, the football team has done really well with. I mean, this was the first year with a brand new head coach, and they went to a bowl game.
That's cool.
I mean,
that was the one in Bahamas, right?
Yes, that was the Bahamas Bowl.
Yeah.
I had a couple of friends from the marching band go down there. They said it was awesome. Even though the game didn't go as we wanted to, I think it's a good shout to the rest of the Conference USA to say, like, hey, we just had 1 year with a brand new head coach and went to a bowl game.
Yeah.
Like one of the best teams in our conference, and we can do that.
Yeah.
I think that speaks for itself.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I think it's just correlation there, with the school and then with the city. But one last question before we kind of wrap this all up. What are your hopes? We talked about this before. What are your like final kind of completed thoughts and hopes for the future of sports in Charlotte? Whether it be basketball, football, soccer, baseball, hockey, any of it. Like, what are your thoughts and kind of what you want, and what do you think will actually happen?
So, let's see.
It's kind of a big question.
It is a big question.
But you don't have to pick like all the sports. You can just be general. You can pick one sport. You know?
I think for the collegiate level teams like UNC Charlotte, and for the minor league teams like the Knights and the Checkers, honestly, just grow more in popularity. Like, there are a lot of people in Charlotte who love the college teams and the minor league teams, but I think if you maybe branch out to a little bit more in the area, I think we can get more people on it, because Charlotte isn't really known as like a big college town.
No, they get us mixed up with the other UNC,
and that is also another
the
topic.
Big Blue.
That's another topic I won't get into at this time. But in a way, to add to that little point, if we grow and let people know that the teams in the collegiate level are very good, more people will come to games. Because I've seen an increase in the basketball games when I'm there playing with the pet band. And I was told today that we've been, I guess, guaranteed a spot for the Conference USA tournament, which will be in Texas week after spring break. And that's really exciting because we're somewhere in the top 5. And if we go far enough, and knock on wood, if we win, then that's an invitation to the NCAA tournament. And that's something that like hasn't been done in a while. And I think that would be awesome.
That would be really cool. Yeah.
For the Hornets,
what does that mean? What does that mean?
Look, the Hornets record is not the best, but they are widely appreciated by a lot of people. Out of nostalgia and out of respect for the team.
They did get better when they got their name back.
They did get better with their name back. I don't know if you noticed, but that was started by local people in the community.
The Bobcats were laughable.
So like,
it was bad.
So I think I remember I saw this tweet this morning. 2011, 2012 is when a small group of people during the Bobcats era said, we want to bring the Hornets back.
Yeah.
And so they like kind of like spoke out and wanted it back, and within a few years, like, the support grew from a small group of people to like almost the entire city, and that helped get our name back, and I think that has really invigorated the love for the team.
Yeah, I agree with that, because before I came to school in Charlotte, I only knew like the Charlotte Bobcats, and I knew they were on the bottom of the barrel when it comes to scores, players. They were laughable.
It was a little embarrassing, because there were years when I was in high school and I would watch them and be like, "Yay, we made it to the playoffs!" And then you realize you have to, because of the gods of basketball, you have to play Miami Heat, which at the time was LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh, and you're just like, "Oh no!"
Yeah, no, there was like you couldn't even get past the first game. It was. There were so sorry if you're like a Bobcats fan or if you used to play on the Bobcats, but like there was a point in time where Bobcats tickets were so cheap that people were so excited just so they could see the other team.
That's actually how I got into a Miami Heat game, because when I was younger I was a big Heat bandwagon. Yeah. I'll go ahead and admit that I loved LeBron James.
Bobcats were so cheap that like you're like, oh man, I guess I gotta go watch the Bobcats.
Well, the year I went was actually the last year before they transitioned over to the Hornets, so the tickets weren't as cheap as probably when you were thinking, but they were.
Because I remember when they played the Knicks when the Knicks were really hot, like 2012, 2013.
Yeah.
Bobcats tickets were like $22 a seat, so I was like, "That's cheap. That's cheap," and I was broke then.
That's so cheap. I guess my final little say is my first love, the Panthers. I mean, I love them so much. I got them tattooed on my arm, so I gotta love them. Gotta love them somehow. Season didn't go too well as we hoped this year, but we got a new coach, new coaching staff, and that looks really great. Yeah. There are downsides. Luke retired, and we parted ways with Greg.
Cam is still here, right?
Cam is still here.
Dab on them.
Well, Cam is still here right now. Cam wants to stay, but I don't believe anyone has made like a final say. Yeah. I would love for him to stay till his contract is over, and maybe they can negotiate something from there. It looks like it might be a rebuilding year, but
Yeah.
You know, the new coach had a rebuilding year, and then the next year he went on to bowl games at his college career. So that's something to look out for.
Yeah.
So, you know, we might surprise some people. You never know.
We went down 1 year undefeated until the Super Bowl.
Well, we went 15-1. We lost one game.
And then the Super Bowl.
And then we lost the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that was a good year until the end.
It was great.
People were so excited that year.
It was fun while it lasted. I would cherish those memories and use them in arguments for the rest of my life.
That was Cam's year. I'm sorry, Cam. That was your year.
I mean, if he gets healthy again, I think he'll be really good. So
that was when the dab became everything.
I think after that, the dab got cursed. I still do it, but that doesn't really say too much.
Thing.
I still do it because, you know, it don't matter to me.
Back then it was cool.
Yeah, back then it was awesome. Now it's just like, oh no, he's dabbing.
Yep, that's so. Nope. Yep. But yeah, so that'll do it for us today. We've hit the 45-minute mark. Didn't feel like a long conversation at all, to be honest. I thought we were flying by, and then I looked at it.
Quick.
Yeah. So yeah, where can people find you, Sam? Unless you don't want people to find you online.
Excellent question. So full disclaimer, I am on Instagram. Don't know my I know it's sam.16 or Sam.
I'll tag him. Tag him.
I know it's sam.flowers16, I think. I definitely have on Facebook. Yeah, really just Instagram. But full disclosure, I don't really accept a whole lot of strangers, so be in relation with someone that I know and we'll be good to go.
Yeah, so I'll be tagging Sam, but you guys can follow the podcast on we're everywhere on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, literally everywhere. But you guys can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. I'll be making a new Facebook account because Facebook, for some reason, won't let us change our old name, Thrillity Media. I know we really tried to get away from that because we like this new name better. So I'll just make a whole new name for Arbitrary Productions Facebook.
What was the first name again?
Thrillity Media. It sounded like too much like Thrillist, so we decided to change it.
I would just think of Michael Jackson Thriller.
No. But yeah, no, I'll be making a new Facebook page, but the Instagram and Twitter are the same. But I'll be tagging Sam. So, you know, if you guys want to, I don't know, don't even have to like follow him, but like maybe say hi. I don't know.
Ask me more questions. I'll be happy to.
Yeah.
So if you DM me questions, I'll answer some or whatever.
Yeah. But yeah, this will be on all the podcast platforms. The audio will probably be on YouTube as well if you don't have any of those podcast platforms. But yeah, thank you guys for listening. If you got any suggestions for what topics to kind of cover in the future, or if you want to be on the podcast, I'll be cool with that. Let's just schedule a time. I'm really busy, so that's why I scheduled everything ahead of time. I already have the this month covered, so don't bother me this month. Scheduled for next month in April and May, so then we'll talk. But thank you guys, and I hope you enjoyed this. Bye bye.